squad since Super Bowl 53 when the Rams scored just 3 points, their fewest in the Sean McVay era. The Rams haven't beaten Bill Belichick since 2001. How about that? Tom Brady was the author of those wins in the past. Now, Cam Newton is your quarterback. He's gone 15 straight starts with 1 touchdown pass or less. That's the longest streak in the NFL since 2012. That's when Sam Bradford had 16 straight games over a 3-season span. Jared Goff posted a total QBR of 87, did not commit a turnover in the win against the Cardinals. That's this past weekend. The former number 1 overall pick hasn't gone consecutive games without a turnover this season. We've got both sides covered here on SportsCenter. Lindsey Theory joining us now from Los Angeles, as well as Mike Reese from his home, getting us ready for the Patriots side. Let's start with Lindsey first here. When you look at the Rams, okay, they are tied for first place in the NFC West, but their quarterback has been up and down, inconsistent this season. How has Jared Goff been preparing for this game?
Hi, Kevin. Well, Sean McVay's decision to call Jared Goff out publicly really marked a shift in the dynamic out here. Goff, now in his 5th season, isn't expected to be perfect, but McVay made clear he's tired of watching him make the same mistakes repeatedly. That's turnovers. He has 14 this season, 4th most in the NFL. And going back, really one of the first teams to give Goff trouble was the Patriots in Super Bowl 53. So what better opportunity than tonight against the Patriots for Goff to prove he can handle it. Now the Pats rank 6th in pressure rate. I asked Goff how he prepared. Goff tells me, we've been through a lot this season. We've seen some stuff. So whatever the defense shows, we're going to have a plan. McVay tells me that the Patriots do a really good job with a variety of looks and says the Rams must be able to handle it. Kevin?
Lindsey, thank you so much. That's the Rams' perspective on the offensive side. Their defense has been absolutely outstanding. Let's go to the Patriots side and bring in Mike. And Mike, before we get to you, it's Week 14, and we're talking about the Patriots being on the outside of the playoff conversation, and that's just a weird space. That's weird for many people that have covered this team as well as anybody in the sport. According to ESPN's FPI, New England has just a 13% chance to reach the playoff heading into tonight's game against the Rams. At this time, the last 5 seasons, the Patriots had all but locked up a postseason appearance. So, again, we haven't seen a postseason without the Patriots, Mike, since 2008. What are they saying about their playoff hopes heading into tonight's contest?
Yeah, Kevin, of all the things Patriots players said over the last week, this stood out to me from veteran safety Adrian Phillips more than any other. He said, "We can't lose again." So simple, so succinct, and really capturing the situation the Patriots find themselves in. Safety Devin McCourty said the only thing they're promised is the final 4 games of the regular season, and anything that happens after that will be a result of what they do with these final 4 games. If there's a silver lining for the Patriots, is that they feel like they found their identity. And when they play to that identity, a physical running game on offense, getting up against receivers on defense, and dominating special teams, they feel like they can play with anyone,
That
Kevin.
will be a key battle there, the special teams. By the way, keep this in mind. They have made the playoffs 11 straight years. That is the longest in NFL history. Mike, Lindsey, thank you so much.
Still to come on SportsCenter.
Streaming Friday on Disney+.
We welcome you back to SportsCenter with this tweet from Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Dez Bryant, who wrote, quote, "I tested negative back-to-back for COVID, and I'm not excited about it," end quote. Again, that's from Dez himself. So that tweet comes just 2 days after he tested positive for COVID, just 30 minutes before kickoff of Baltimore's game against the Cowboys. That squandered his chance, of course, to face off against his former team. Once again, Bryant said today on Twitter he received a negative test, but the Ravens did place him on the reserve COVID-19 list late this afternoon. For more, we bring in our insider, Adam Schefter. And Adam, it's been quite a couple of days for Dez Bryant. What does all of this mean for him right now?
Well, it means that officially this afternoon, Sage, the Ravens placed him on the reserve COVID-19 list. So that means either he did test positive again or he was in close contact with someone who did. And it means he'll be out again on Monday night against the Cleveland Browns. And the question is, if he tested positive, he'll be out the next week again. And so it's been quite an adventure for Dez Bryant this week, who obviously had an inconclusive test, then tested positive, then tested negative, then announced he was quitting football. Now has been placed on the reserve COVID-19 list after he said he tested negative. crazy situation.
Yeah, and we know Des to be quite an emotional player, and we certainly understand why. We'll see what happens with that. Let's get the very latest on injuries from around the NFL right now, starting with the New York Giants. Still questions surrounding their starting quarterback as they get set for the Cardinals this Sunday. So, Adam, what's the status of Daniel Jones?
Was limited in practice today, Sage. However, the Giants still remain optimistic that Jones will be able to start a big game Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. Colt McCoy held the space warm last week, led the team to its biggest road win in a long time at Seattle. But if Jones has no setbacks, he is the expected starter on Sunday against Arizona. Meanwhile, in New Orleans, Drew Brees not showing any signs of being put back on the field into the starting lineup. It looks like another week of Taysom Hill, which means in week 14, who would have thought this? Taysom Hill versus Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback, as Drew Brees continues to recover from his fractured ribs. And Christian McCaffrey had a setback with his quad injury to the point where today the Panthers head coach Matt Rule said that McCaffrey is not expected to play Sunday against the Denver Broncos in what would have been an important game for McCaffrey, considering that his father Ed once played for the Denver Broncos. McCaffrey not expected back on Sunday. And in the same division, Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans did not practice today due to a hamstring injury. That came one day after he was limited in practice on Wednesday, and it comes after a weekend in which the Buccaneers had their bye. So if Mike Evans, following a bye, goes from limited to not practicing on Thursday, that certainly raises some questions about his status for this upcoming weekend.
Yep, as they host the Minnesota Vikings, and again, trying to snap out of a 2-game losing streak as well. We shall see. Adam Schefter with the latest from the NFL. Thank you,
Sage.
Well, around the league, here's the good news. Larry Fitzgerald is back, and he's been activated to return. Here's the bad news. The future Hall of Famer lost 9 pounds while in quarantine dealing with COVID-19 for 13 days. The Cardinals wide receiver still has trouble tasting and smelling. He said he revised his will and estate planning while out for 13 days.
I got my estate planning all done again. You know, my will, revised my will. You know, I did a lot of stuff because when you're sitting at home and you're watching, how many people are dying every day from it? And you really kind of just reevaluate things, and it makes you really appreciate, you know, the health that you have. I think it was probably like around Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I wasn't feeling great. So Thanksgiving, I felt decent, and then that Friday I felt okay, and then Saturday I started feeling not like I normally had. The scariest part, and I think anybody that's had it, is nobody really can give you any answers. I feel much better. Still can't really taste or smell anything, but you know, that's much better than you know, a lot of people are dealing with.
Good to see him back. Key game this weekend. Bucks, they hold the 6th seed in the NFC race right now, and they host the Vikings, who are the 7th seed, while many have thought Tom Brady and this team in Tampa would be fighting for the top seed in the NFC. The Bucks have dropped 3 of their last 4 heading into the final quarter of the regular season.
We've had a lot of learning that's gone on this year, and I know we all wish we were 12-0 at this point. It's not the reality. We haven't deserved it. We haven't played to that level. But what we have has an opportunity to learn about, you know, each other, what things we're productive at, what we haven't been productive at. At the end of the year, there's only going to be one team that's happy with the way the season ends. So, there's a lot of time between now and that time of the year. And I think for us, it's just focused on having a good day of practice and putting ourselves in a good position to be able to compete this particular week.
How about the Browns? Baker Mayfield and company coming off that statement win against the Titans. Baker threw for 4 touchdowns in the first half. NFL's longest active playoff drought, now moving a little bit closer to ending after 18 seasons. But Baker, he's not looking beyond this coming week. Monday's game against the Ravens, especially after getting blown out by Baltimore in week 1.
We're truly singular focused. We know where we stand right now, but we know to get where we want to go, it's one game at a time. So excitement or not, it wouldn't matter. We have to play the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night. We have to do our job. We want to be a winning franchise, a competitive franchise, one that, you know, when we step out on the field, you know what we're capable of, and it needs to be a winning culture. I mean, it's all the things we've talked about. Everything needs to be about winning.
He is saying all the right things. More on Baker and the Browns in a moment. But Monday Night Football's Louis Riddick joining us now. Let's just focus on what we heard from Tom Brady. Didn't think we would be here in December trying to figure out the Buccaneers. What needs to happen for this offense to turn things around the final 4 games of the regular season?
Yeah, Kev, I think what they need to do really is keep things simple. When by simple, I mean this. Keep things within Tom Brady's comfort zone, which means what did he do in New England? What they did there was they were a run-centric football team that then emphasized play-action pass, attacking the middle of the field, and letting the offense organically work for you. Meaning don't try to force the ball to certain people simply because you have all these weapons that you need to keep happy, because then what you wind up doing, you wind up just kind of chasing your tail. Next thing you know, you don't have any identity. And this football team looks like that often. They look like a team that's trying to satisfy all these different weapons and really just taking shots all over the place. And Tom Brady's not one of those guys who just airs it out all over the place all the time. And that guy who you see on your screen right there, Scotty Miller, that's a guy who's kind of been lost in the shuffle ever since Antonio Brown showed up. And I understand Antonio Brown's a Hall of Fame caliber wide receiver, but they need to go back to what was working for them early on in the season, stay in that kind of rhythm, stay in that kind of flow, make sure that the running game is something that doesn't get lost in the shuffle here, and they'll be fine. If they keep doing this kind of piecemeal thing where it's just bombs all over the place, I think you see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wind up in trouble.
And we know that's not Tom Brady's game. Play what he's most comfortable with. Meanwhile, the Browns.
That's right.
All right, they've won 4 in a row. And what have you seen from Baker Mayfield and this team that is leading to their success of late?
Well, I think this is just the opposite, Kevin, as what we were just talking about with Tampa Bay. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, knows what he wants this football team to be and how it was constructed. That's it. We're run-centric now. We're going to come out with 3 tight ends, 1 wide receiver, 1 back, and we're just going to hammer you to death with these big running backs that we have in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And then we're going to take opportunistic shots down the field off of play action when we feel as though the time is right to do that. But make no mistake, this is not a football team we're going to put on base. And we're going to let him throw into big windows that are created by play action pass, that are created by double moves on the outside because corners are peeking in the backfield because they're tired of hitting these big running backs. And we're going to methodically play that way.